So I think it's safe to say that a lot of you know what IKEA is. Honestly, it's great. It's a perfect Saturday afternoon, right? You go there, you eat the meatballs, and probably you will take home a piece of furniture, for example, this Billy closet. Now, if you come home, you already have all the building blocks to make the closet, but how do you actually assemble it? Probably you would refer to the manual. In the manual, it contains all the instructions that you need to put all the pieces together in the right order that you will get a perfectly working closet, right? Well, your cells of your body do more or less a similar thing. So when they need some furniture, they would also refer to their manual, which is the DNA. So the DNA is basically a huge collection of all of the instructions that all of the cells in your body might need. For example, and then of course the furniture of your cells will determine its function. For example, the muscle cells have the furniture to contract, or the fat cells have the furniture to store energy in your body that it might need later. Now, the furniture of your cells we refer to as proteins. So proteins are the real molecular machines that perform the functions that your cells might need. But what if something goes wrong with the instructions? Imagine that there is a printing mistake in the manual of IKEA. Probably you will assemble the closet wrong now, and you will end up with some very funny looking closets that cannot perform their function at all. So it's more or less the same with DNA. If there is a mistake in the DNA, you will end up with a protein that cannot perform its function well. And a mistake in the DNA is called a mutation. So I'm studying the type of mutations that cause the protein to work a little bit too well. Normally, this protein is involved in the survival and the growth and the multiplication of the cells. But with the certain mutations, it will become too active and the cells will start to grow and to multiply too much. I'm studying this specifically in the blood vessels. When the blood vessels have these kinds of mutations, they start to overgrow like a jungle in your body. This can, of course, this can manifest in different ways. So sometimes it's very small that you will not even notice it, but other times it will be very problematic and you'll get a huge head or a huge leg, and this can, of course, be a problem. There's an example of a little girl that came to the hospital and she was paralyzed from the waist down because her blood vessels were pressing against her spinal cord. Now, luckily, they were able to treat her by using a drug that can inhibit this super active protein, and now she's able to do all the normal things that a little girl should be able to do. So how am I doing this? I am looking at mice and their blood vessels that carry these kinds of mutations to better understand the mechanisms. But we also have a way to isolate the blood vessel cells from these kinds of patients and study them in a dish. So finally, my research will help to understand the mechanisms of how these mutations can cause overgrowth in the blood vessels and, of course, how we can treat it.